riches, and honor, so that before your time, during your time, and after you have left the throne, there will be nobody as wise and wealthy as you. That does not come from a university, ladies and gentlemen. That comes from God, and out of his mercy, out of his goodness, and sometimes out of what we do that attracts his blessing, he does it to us. So there is something about responding right to God, which we must all endeavor to do. Sometimes there could be the pain, the pressure to be egalitarian, to pay back, answer back in the papers, write an article, wax a song, go to court and do all the kinds of things. But when you do that, you become egalitarian. That's what the word is. You are equalized, you're no better. But here is a man saying that, just give me wisdom. Wisdom. And God gave him wisdom because he had to deal with so many things, and then he prospered. I believe that as we move on in this year, that's going to become a critical factor in all that we do. Wisdom. Wisdom to know what to buy, what not to buy, where to go to a place, where not to go, what to say, what not to say, who to talk to, who not to talk to, even if you must speak. Wisdom to know what to associate with, what not to associate to, when to associate, where to associate, and all that. Basically wisdom. We also learned last week from Proverbs, the book after Psalms in the middle of the Bible, the 4th chapter, basically from 1 to 15, basically the whole chapter, but specifically from verse 6, 7, and 8, where it says that get wisdom, and with all your getting that you get also understanding, for wisdom is the principal thing. In other words, because you go to school, because I go to school, because I went to college, because I have a university degree, because you have 2, 3, 4, doesn't necessarily make you wise. Your length of stay on the earth does not also make you wise. If not, all the older people of the world will be the wisest. And wisdom is akin to wealth. Wisdom and wealth are like twins. If you are wise, you will not be broke. If you are wise, you'll be wealthy. Except you are not translating your wisdom in the right way. And there's one man in the Bible that was like that. And unfortunately, he was also an old man. The Bible tells us somewhere in that very book of Proverbs about an old man who was wise, but he was a poor, wise man. And by his wisdom, he delivered the city. But when everything was over, nobody remembered him, not because he was not wise, but because he was poor. And so wisdom and wealth go together for anything to happen. And so if one is absent, chances are the other one is going to fall on its knees. They're like twins. And so God gave Solomon this wisdom. And as we read in the scriptures about his reign, we see the wisdom of God operating in his life until he came to a point where he also made mistakes. But the great thing about him, which should be the great thing about all of us and any one of us, is that you can read in the Bible about Solomon, about David, about Moses, about Peter, about many people who made mistakes because they were human. Just like you and I will make mistakes because we're human. But we do not stay down in our mistakes. We do not collapse in our mistakes and, build a shrine there and cry and weep and wail and say everybody's against us, people are fighting us because we are small, we are minority, we are women, we are foreigners, we are this, we are that, and we don't have the money, we don't have a scholarship, I didn't go to school. It's not that. It's the ability to come back up. So David did that. Solomon did that. So when Solomon got into his troubles, he even used it as a pointer to the rest of humanity. He wrote a whole chapter in the Bible, in the book of Ecclesiastes. He wrote about all the things that can happen to you, that when you finish with them, he calls them vanity and is striving after the wind. He's shadow boxing. So he said he tried academic power, he tried money, he tried alcohol, he tried women, he tried everything, books, he tried everything. At the end of the day, this was the wisest man on the earth. He said, the best thing is to fear God. In 2013, I think the fear of God and wisdom will take us places, and the ability to respond. to respond. I have often said on this program that some things that have guided my life was, I remember the first time my pastor said to me many years ago, 1994, 5 or 6, he said to me, he said two things. He said, always choose your response in every given situation. Choose your response. Don't let people force you to say something. Choose. The power of choice is within you. Choose your response. And of course, it doesn't mean just choose, but choose advisedly, choose wisely, choose on an informed platform. The next thing he said to me, that never let people drag you down to their level. There are people who just want to play all throughout life and wonder why they end the other way. There are other people who want to be suspicious all throughout life, and then they wonder why they end on suspicion. There are other people who are just proud all the time. They wonder. He said, never let people drag you to where they are. And so those two things, and I can hear wisdom inside. I can hear how to respond to please God. Why is this important to us? This is important because we all face challenges. If the world was full of just you and your type, there will be challenges. If the world was just full of you and your color, there will be challenges. If the world only had men and no women, there will be massive challenges. There will be all kinds of issues. There will probably be sin. If the world was full of women alone, there will be quarreling every day, crying every day, fighting every day. There will also be sin. So the world is full of all kinds of people, and ours, because of what we sense is God's calling, mandate, and his purpose for our lives, is then we're supposed to steer, navigate through all these 7 billion people and come out with the best of God in our hearts, because we are answerable to God at the end of time. So because of that, whether we lead big or we lead small or we don't lead at all, we need to be able to respond rightly. There is another woman in the Bible. She was a woman who went to the Lord Jesus Christ, and she asked for healing for her child, and she was crying to Jesus. And Jesus, because she was not a Jew then, Jesus said to her, you know the law, it is not proper for me to give the children's bread to the dogs. Wow. Did Jesus really say that? Yes, he did. He said, you know, he was using metaphorical language, because the Samaritans in Jesus' day were seen like that, outcasts, infidels, and all that, you know, it's just human society. And so Jesus confronted her with that, and then she responded. Now, if you're not familiar with the Bible and you've never heard this before, you're hearing it for the very first time, I ask you the question. Let me repeat the scenario. This woman comes to Jesus Christ and says, Master, Master, help me. My daughter needs healing. Jesus is definitely healing the people. The success is there. The results are there. It's a small community, so they know the blind man was blind. They know the deaf man was deaf. It's not like he was planted into the community. They know him. They know that Zacchaeus was a thief. He was a tax collector. Everybody knew Judas, because it was a community, like the small Gambian community. So this lady comes to Jesus. She really has a need for her daughter to be healed. And Jesus' response to her is that, well, it is not proper for me to give the children's bread to dogs. Let the children first be fed. How would you respond as a woman? How would you respond as a mother? How would you respond in solidarity with your wife or the woman who has your child? I think, one, there will be all kinds. If the women, they will hiss, they will walk away. Some would answer him back, insult him. Some would walk away and say, it's because I'm asking him for healing, he's now calling me a dog. He too is a dog. I don't want the healing. Let him go. People respond. That's a response. Is it the right one? No, but it is a response. Is it a positive response? No, but it's a response. Is it helping her situation? No, but it's a response. We are talking about responding properly. There's kinds of response that please God. Now, this is what the woman said. The woman said, well, Lord, what you're saying is true. She wasn't rebuking Jesus. Jesus did not create that law. He met it. And so her response in the Bible was, yes, Master, but even the dogs eat the crumbs that fall from the children's table. Ladies and gentlemen, would you have ever thought of such a response? Would I have ever thought of such a response? If you were at home as a husband and your wife came and she's sulking and she's upset, I went to that Jesus and he said he called me a dog, you probably say, get in the car.